Welcome to the third episode of the Fourth and Goal podcast brought to you by Ride the Wave Media. I'm with my guys, Dan and Adam, once again. And we had a pretty big, solid week, and the Patriots signed unretired free agent Ben Watson. How do you guys feel about that move?
Personally, I am a pretty big fan of this pickup. He was one of our former first-round picks back in 2004. He's currently 38 years old, and we signed him to a one-year, $3 million deal. He's going to add a real good veteran presence to our locker room, and will help develop all those younger tight ends and younger players that we have on our roster right now. So I think the signing's really going to help us in the long run. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, the Watson signing was a big one in my book. We really didn't have any depth at tight end after not drafting one. So he's a big addition. Really, we just had guys like Austin Seferian-Jenkins. While he has played in this league for a while and probably will do a good job, he's a bit unpredictable. He's coming off a lackluster season after having a really good one with the Jets. So he could end up being a bust. And then we have a guy, Ryan Izzo. He's coming back off an injury. Really, anything could happen with him. Andrew Beck, same thing, undrafted. Ben Watson, I don't think he'll be extremely productive because of his age, but as I said before, he just brings depth to a position where we really needed it.
Ben Watson actually has gotten a lot better as his career has gone on. In 2015, he had 825 yards, 6 touchdowns, had 74 catches, which is really productive for a tight end. In 2017 with Baltimore, he had 522 yards, 61 catches, and 4 touchdowns. And I think Ben Watson, as the years have gone on, he's gotten more productive than he was in the beginning of his career. But the Patriots have also made another move this week as they signed wide receiver free agent Dontrell Inman. How do you guys feel about that move?
Well, this move is pointing me even further in the direction that the Patriots are preparing for a season without Josh Gordon, as they just added Inman, who's 6'3", he's a big-bodied receiver. They got Demaryius Thomas, who's a pretty big-bodied guy, and some of the undrafted free agents that we also signed are pretty big guys as well. So it looks like we're kind of going in that direction to prepare for no Gordon. But Inman, he's a pretty good receiver in my opinion. He's a big-bodied guy. Solid outside and red zone threat. And what I like most about him, he has a decent upside because he had last year 28 receptions, 304 yards, and 3 touchdowns in only 9 games. So I think his ceiling with the Patriots could be around 60, 70 catches, possibly with 600 to 700 yards and maybe even 8 touchdowns. But we signed him to a one-year deal, but the money isn't out yet. So we'll have to wait and see what we gave him.
I kind of disagree with you there, Adam. I don't really think that Inman will be that productive this season. I do agree with the fact that this does point to possibly losing Josh Gordon, as really we wouldn't need him if we had Josh Gordon coming back this season. I don't know. I don't think he'll be that productive. We signed him to a one-year deal, which means we're looking for him to prove something to us. Ultimately, I don't think he'll deliver on that, and we'll let him walk at the end of the season.
I don't think the Inman signing has anything to do with Josh Gordon. I think the team knows where that standpoint's going. If Gordon gets 8 games, he gets 8 games. He's going to be fresh for the playoffs. He's been working hard in Florida. But Inman's been kind of productive when he actually plays a lot of games. In 2016, he had 58 catches, 810 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And he kind of reminds me of the Chris Hogan factor back with the Patriots had in 2016. The type of guy that the defense wouldn't have to really worry about. Hogan had 38 catches, 680 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And I feel like Inman can produce those type of numbers and be that guy because they're similar in size. But we also had a weird signing this week that the Miami Dolphins extended cornerback Xavier Howard to a 4-year deal worth a lot of money. How do you guys feel about that one?
I'm actually pretty high on Xavier Howard. I'll correct you, Kevin. It's actually a 5-year deal. It was worth $75 million with 46 guaranteed. What I like most about him, he's a very feisty corner. He's only been in the league for 3 years now, but in 34 career games, he has 11 interceptions with 123 combined tackles and 31 passes defended. So he's a ball hawker. He can make plays when the ball's in the air, and he's a second round pick. So maybe overpaid for a guy because he's only been in the league for a few years. However, you got to pay the guy. We drafted him in the second round, and that's their guy on defense, and he's going to be leading the way for that Dolphins defense for years to come. So, what do you think about it, Dan?
I'm not surprised that Howard got extended, as the Dolphins really just they're trying to hold on to all the players they can. It looks like they're gonna go kind of full rebuild around Josh Rosen and now possibly Xavier Howard. They really need him on that defense, but at the end of the day, I think they gave him the extension way too early. I think they were really desperate, and that's why they gave him all this money. And ultimately, I think it's going to backfire, just like the Ndamukong Suh signing. And they're going to end up having to trade him for less than he's worth due to this contract, or even potentially cut him like they did with Suh.
Speaking of Suh, Suh is still a free agent. I don't know if he's waiting for his money. I don't know what he's doing, but where do you guys think Suh's going to land this season?
See, I'm not too sure where I could see Suh, but I'll bring this question up. Would you guys see Suh in a Patriots jersey?
I'm not a huge fan of that because I just kind of feel like Ndamukong Suh isn't a great presence in the locker room. And I think that if a young up-and-coming guy such as Adam Butler were to get some minutes, some reps over him, that would upset Suh, and really Bill Belichick has no patience for stuff like that. So you could see that turn into a bad situation. We have shown that with guys like Josh Gordon, we can take on kind of a bad personality, and our system is good for them. We can kind of handle them, but I don't know. I think we'd end up giving Suh a little bit more than he's worth, and it just wouldn't work out.
Yeah, dude, I just want to call you out on that because I didn't know that defensive tackles actually got reps playing the defensive line. But back to your point, though, I think that Mike Pennell is a solid guy that the Patriots have for a defensive tackle. Played for the Jets last year. He actually had a PFF grade of 87, which was it's a pretty solid year. They got him for like a 1-year low contract deal, so that's a pretty good signing. I think Suh and Michael Bennett, though, if you put those two together, I know Bennett's versatile and he can play defensive end as well, but those two can actually ball out, and that's a solid 1-2 combo right there.
That would be pretty interesting to see. But the only thing I have against Suh is in his 1 year in LA, he did produce, and I'll give him that. But he's playing alongside Aaron Donald. That guy's a generational type talent. Everybody's got Donald's taking all the attention. So Suh's probably getting a lot of those one-on-ones on defense, especially in run plays and stuff. So he has a better opportunity to make plays, in my opinion. But I don't know. He was playing with Aaron Donald, and he played pretty well, but not the best. But at the right price, I wouldn't mind seeing him in a Patriots uniform, and especially that he's floating around for this long at free agency, his price is only going to go down and down.
He seems like a Bill Belichick type player too.
Yeah, but he's dirty, man. He's just made so many dirty plays that I just can't respect. But if he's in the Patriots uniform, I'm going to have to learn to respect him,
He hasn't been dirty since 2012 versus Rodgers in the Thanksgiving game?
He would just automatically make so many more people hate the Patriots because he's just not very well liked.
I agree.
But he's also a very talented player.
Yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks also made an interesting move this past week as Cam Chancellor and Doug Baldwin got put to the reserves list. And basically that just means that they're hoping that they retire and their contract's officially ending in Seattle. But they also gave Ziggy Ansah, star defensive end, a 1-year, $9 million contract. How do you guys that's a good move for Seattle. You get rid of Frank Clark. You ship Frank Clark to freaking Kansas City. That's a solid move for them right there.
I agree. You lose one guy, you fill the void immediately. And with a guy like Ansah, who's been kind of floating around, how much did they sign him for again? What was his price tag?
$9 million.
1 year, $9 million.
See, that's not that bad. That's not bad at all. That's a very kind of a low risk, high reward kind of player right there. But with Baldwin, actually, do you have anything to say about Ansah, Dan?
Well, I just wanted to say, if I'm a Seahawks fan, I am absolutely thrilled with this move because when Frank Clark requested to be traded, I was thinking they were in a horrible situation as they had just franchise tagged him, so nobody would want to pick up his contract. But then the Chiefs proved me wrong. They completely overpaid for him, and now Seattle was able to get a guy in Ziggy Ansah who I think could probably match his production for a cheaper price.
The Kansas City Chiefs have been, I feel like, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of reports on the Chiefs saying, like, they're going to be the number one contender for the Super Bowl. But I feel like they failed as an organization this offseason.
They had a bad offense.
They did. They lost a lot of guys. Like
Earl Thomas signing was good. I give him that. That wasn't Earl Thomas.
It was Tyrann.
Earl Thomas to the Ravens.
It was Tyrann Mathieu.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Edit that. Okay. Tyrann Mathieu to the Kansas City Chiefs. That was a good signing. But other than that, they really didn't do much. I know they wanted to sign Earl Thomas, and that was a big thing. They would have had two guys back there, which would have solidified that defense.
Mm-hmm.
They still don't really have a cornerback that really can stop these high power offenses in the AFC.
I agree. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they led the league in sacks last year, and they lost their top 3 pass rushers in Justin Houston, Chris Jones, and Dee Ford. So you just lost your starting D line. It was the most dominant position on your defense, and it's the only reason why you were in a lot of your football games, And now they got worse at that position group, and they still don't have the cornerback, like you said. So personally, I think they only got worse. But
yeah,
Chris Jones is still with the Chiefs.
Yeah,
is he? Is he really?
I think he is too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I could have sworn he wasn't there. Are you sure? Hold on, let me look this up.
I'm positive. I already got you. I looked it up.
Oh wow.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I was gonna say, Chris
him.
Jones had 15.5 sacks last year.
He also lined up
Kansas City
offsides.
No,
that was Dee Ford. That was Dee Ford. They shipped him right out of there.
I was gonna say if the Chiefs let Chris Jones go, that's a big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that. I'm playing too much Ultimate Team.
But no, I don't know. The Chiefs, they're just falling apart. Like the 1-year wonders of the Colts from 2015 when they had Luck, and they had T.Y. A young Moncrief, which is solid back there.
Mm-hmm.
They seem like that to me now.
And I think the biggest thing coming up with this team is what's going to happen with Tyreek Hill, because if he's gone for a year, if he's cut by the team, they still have Travis Kelce, they still have Sammy Watkins, but taking that burner away like that Tyreek Hill provides will make it so much easier for defenses to contain Kelce over the middle, because you don't got to worry.
Sammy Watkins is a bum.
Yeah, he's a solid number 2, but he can't play number 1,
Yeah. I mean, obviously a big difference between that Colts team is, Andrew Luck was not an MVP level talent. Patrick Mahomes definitely is, but he's losing weapons left and right. And then, they just completely mishandled that Dee Ford, Frank Clark swap. They trade Dee Ford for what I think was a decent price. 2020 second round pick with the big contract he had. And then, Frank Clark, they overpay for him. Then they start cutting veterans off their defense. They do bring in Tyrann Mathieu, which was a good move. But at the end of the day, I think their defense still got worse.
What do you guys feel about Oakland Raiders coming up, though? They made a lot of big signings this offseason. It actually was reported last week that Trent Brown, the former beast left tackle of the New England Patriots, was actually going to be the right tackle. And Colton Miller, the guy that I never liked, I don't like him. He was a bum from UCLA. I know Wes is going to call me out for this one. But he just sucked in UCLA, and he was never a productive left tackle in college. And he's getting the starting role of left tackle for the Oakland Raiders. How do you guys feel about that?
See, that's just kind of weird to me that a guy like Trent Brown, who was so productive for such a good football team last year, is going to get his position switched. I don't see why. I don't see the benefit in that. However, this Raiders team is one of the most intriguing teams entering the 2019 season, as to me personally, it all lies on Derek Carr, because he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, but he's got a new coach in Gruden, a great quarterback guru like himself. He's got AB. He's got what's his face from the Chargers? Help me out. Tyrell Williams, correct. And they got, who else is the third? And they just drafted a running back too, didn't they?
Josh Jacobs.
Yep, Josh Jacobs
From
as well. So
Alabama.
they got a pretty good offense right there.
Yeah.
It's going to ride on Derek Carr. And I did see that there was some rumors that the John Gruden likes Tua coming out of next year. So possibly if Derek Carr doesn't live up to what he's supposed to be, he'll go after the future quarterback next draft. So we'll have to wait
Miami
and see.
likes that guy too.
Yeah, I saw that as
Yeah,
well.
but looks like now bringing in Rosen, they might have kind of given up on that.
Would you though?
Personally,
depends.
You
I
got
wouldn't.
Van Patrick.
Personally, I wouldn't. I don't know. I was against them just completely tanking this year and just going all out for Tua, but at the same time, I mean, you don't trade for Josh Rosen and then
How
still
good-
tank and draft Tua and then just flip Josh Rosen. That just doesn't make any sense.
How good is Tua?
I think he's good. Don't get me wrong. He'll probably be the first pick in next year's draft, and the team's really going to look out that they get him. But I don't think he's good enough that now you start tanking and you trade a guy like Josh Rosen when, you could just – I mean, the Dolphins, they're not going to be good this year. They don't really have to tank. They're going to get a top draft pick, and you can just fill another need and ultimately make your team better.
Yeah, I agree. But here's the thing: look at the discography of Alabama quarterbacks. They're never pan out like they're supposed to, and all the hype they get. And I do like Tua, but I don't. It's just maybe because he's lefty. I don't see it. I don't really see what all the hype. He's very accurate. He's a great leader. He knows how to win. But I just feel like he's surrounded by so much talent on that Alabama team year after year that it comes easier to him than most other players.
That's why I brought up. Like my guy is Trevor Lawrence. Like Trevor Lawrence
Oof.
can't go next year, can he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, we
He
really?
can, because
Can
this
he?
is sophomore year now. He can leave after his sophomore year.
So I think that Lawrence will go number
Yeah,
one.
I'm a huge Trevor Lawrence guy. I'm a big
Dude.
Notre Dame fan. Coming into that game, I was absolutely shitting on him for the hair, everything. Then he absolutely torched us, and then he absolutely torched Alabama. So, I mean, I got to give the respect where it's due. He's legit. He is very good.
He plays big time in the big time moments. He shows up. He can take hits as he throws. He's accurate. He's got the perfect quarterback poise. He's everything anybody can look at, and he's also got that beautiful, majestic Cinderella hair too. So you can't go wrong with that,
I got one more final question for you guys, and then we're gonna wrap this up. How do you guys feel about the quarterback that the Patriots drafted in the 4th round?
Jarrett Stidham.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on that. I like Jared Stidham. I think 4th round might have been a bit too high. I think we probably could have gotten him in the 5th. And even if we didn't, I think Clayton Thorson would have been a good pickup. I know we interviewed both Stidham and Thorson in addition to Daniel Jones, who obviously, I mean, he wasn't even close to falling to us. A guy that we didn't interview that I was kind of rooting to come to us, Brett Rippon out of Boise State. He just has like a crazy arm, and I think he would have been a good pickup. He would have been definitely a later round guy, but I think it's very good that we drafted a quarterback this year because, I mean, Danny Etling's not the future. We really needed to start legitimately preparing.
Yeah, I see. But the thing with Stidham is I've watched some of his film. He's very good at the short, medium ranges. He's got a decent arm, but he struggles with downfield accuracy. There was so many throws I saw, and I was like, dude, he's missing this guy by 5 yards, either underthrowing it or overthrowing it. But that's something he can work on, and whether it's something his mechanics or whatever it is, he's going to be in the perfect situation to learn and get better. So he definitely has some upside, though. We may have reached for him a little bit, but I'm not sure if he's our future or not. I guess time will have to tell. But do you guys think he could possibly be the future of the Patriots after Brady?
I've done a little bit of research on this guy, and if I'm mistaken, I think he actually first went to Baylor,
Yes, he did.
and I think he was better in Baylor, but he transitioned to Auburn, and I guess he had a better 2 years at Baylor than he did at Auburn.
Oh,
And they said that like the way that he was performing at Baylor was like crazy. Like he was like almost like a 5-star recruit. And then once he got that switch and the playbook switch on him, that it kind of changed his whole demeanor his last couple of years at Auburn.
Yeah. I mean, that could definitely be something because, I mean, obviously now he's got to switch playbooks again. So if that is the case, if he just can't switch playbooks, that's a pretty big problem. Personally, I think that we drafted him hoping he could be the potential successor to Tom Brady. I don't think he will be. I think at the end of the day, we'll end up having to take a guy like very early, like round 1 or 2. Just this year's QB class was not the class to do that in. Next year's is a different story. We've already talked about Trevor Lawrence, talked about Tua Tagovailoa. Then you got a guy like Justin Herbert coming out who would have been a top draft pick this year. And then, I mean, you got a bunch of guys that are going to come up out of the woodwork and just shock everybody. So we'll see what happens. But got to wrap this episode up. So thank you to all you guys for listening. Thank you, Kevin and Adam, for coming on once again. And make sure you tune in next week.